Hello. I had a request to show the obstacles which we had in our obstacles race or tryout that we had earlier in the season, and so I'll show those. These were custom pieces I made to make the race a little bit more. We'll start out with a simple one here, and this is the item. This was the last obstacle in the course that they needed, or one of the last obstacles they needed to pass. The marble, if they pass straight through, go through quickly, but if they come off to the side, they'll ricochet and hit the sides and slow down. So this was one obstacle. If you recall, I made them all white so that they were easy to see in the video, and that's one of them. It was just a very, I made this, we have another chicane that's similar that does an S type shape in here. This one I made a little bit wider in this section so that we'd have more marbles passing through the center as opposed to more marbles hitting the side. So anyways, I thought it was a good, in the race, in those races, I think it was a good view of only a few marbles hitting the sides and a lot of marbles going through the center. It was pretty good. So that's obstacle. That is one of the obstacles. It was kind of a modified chicane piece of track. All right, the next one, I don't have a wide track to show, so I'll put this out here. These are the obstacles that we had on the long straight, and they're simply designed, they're fairly thick so that the marbles, when they run up against them, will just bounce off. But the object is to put that on the track, and that way as the marble travels down, if they're too far to the left or too far to the side, they'll hit the obstacle and bounce into this section. But there's a good section of track here where that if they're in the right lane, they'll just cruise straight past them and not hit the obstacle. And I think we had, in that obstacle race, we actually had 2 of those on the long straight. So that's what those were. Right, so that was another obstacle. And then we had this obstacle here, and this obstacle is pretty much a modified radius to corner. So in essence, this gray section here really represents a common corner that we would have on our track. It's the same radius as the other corners that we use. And so the object was, if the marbles could travel through here, they would be quicker than if they came up on this lip here and traveled this further distance. So you'll see in the race that the marbles, as they went down this track here, they would pass any marbles that were pretty much coming off the side. And there is a tiny lip. I don't know if you can see it, and I enhanced it with a piece of tape so that it would stick up just a little bit more than what I printed, and that allows the marbles to run along that edge. And then of course I just put some decals down on this raised part, but kind of get an idea of what that looks like if you're looking down the track. In the obstacle race, this was all white. This was actually in another race too, so I put some decals on it to make it look kind of, so you could see it like this on the racetrack. So anyway, that's all. Those are just decals on there, but gives you an idea of what that, might look like. So here's a close-up of, the tape and the decals on here, and how the marbles might travel along that instead of going all the way to the outside edge like that. And I put tape on these just to kind of give it a good look, and then also the marbles seem to run a little bit quicker when they're running on tape or decals. All right, so that is that. This is really wide, so it just sits on top of the wide track and then the marbles drop down onto that track. So there isn't a really good connection for that at this point, but anyways, that's another obstacle that we had in the race. Now the fun one. So the last obstacle, we had 4 obstacles, and the last obstacle is a conversion of the existing track that we have, and it's really converting these clips. So if you take a regular clip off, this clip here becomes this clip right here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make, I'll show you how this track with the split between the track happens, okay? And so I'll just put that right there, and then I'll show you how by putting this in we can make that piece of track. So what you do, just clip it in like that. We'll do one on the other side as well. You got to go underneath. So now that I've got that in place, all I have to do is take this piece and slide it in underneath. So it goes underneath like this. You can kind of, oops, let's see if we can show it to you, like that. And then it's just big enough that you can put a piece of 3D filament, let's see if I can find the hole there, in there, and clip it off. And then we'll do the same on the other side, like this. See if I can get it in there. Missed. Alright, I'm gonna have to cut that at an angle. Get that back in there. There we go, we're gonna try it again. Well, that's not going in. There we go. Just a little bit tight. Okay, so now, and then you can trim these down if you want. You'll see that I trimmed all the way down on that one. But that is a divider. So now you can race two marbles down the track, you can divide it and make one longer than the other, whatever. You'll see this coming up in our team races. This is a way that we can divide the teams, and each one will run down its own track. And anyways, we'll be kind of premiering that when those team races show. Anyways, those are the different pieces, and then of course there is an entryway right here, kind of a narrow piece, and it's angled so that the marbles won't stall as they travel along that. And then the exit, we didn't have anything, it just straight off into the track. But anyways, the entry is kind of a pointed and angled piece, so the marbles will just continue rolling either direction. It divides them, and that's that track. And that's our final obstacle that we had. So that's it. I'll post this, and hopefully that answers the questions that there were out there. Thanks. Bye.